What's going through your head as you're kept, basically, like you say in the book, locked up in a cage?
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman, Logan Crawford.
They now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now we're sharing one of America's most shocking criminal justice exoneration cases. We're talking with author Keith Tyrone Bush, and he is out with a powerful memoir that you won't want to put down. It is called Unshackling The Truth, Triumphant Over Injustice. This is the true story, his story, of a teenager victimized by the very system that was supposed to protect him. He was made to suffer for more than 4 decades in a cage for a crime he literally had nothing to do with. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Bookside Press for helping us put him on TV today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Keith, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's go back, turn back the hands of time. 1975, you're 17 years old. And how do you first find out that police suspect you in this crime? What happened?
Well, at the age of 17, I had attended a party, and this was in North Bellport. Mm-hmm. And at that party, there was over 100 people in and out throughout the course of the night. And as a result of that party, a teenage girl was found 2 days later. At the time, I wasn't considered a suspect, but like everyone in the community, I was a concerned community person that was willing to help find out what happened and try to, find a way to resolve this case. I was lured into police custody because they had allegedly had a statement from someone who claimed they had walked away from the party with me that night. Me and the deceased was behind this person, and she supposed to have left the party. That placed me leaving the party with the victim at the night of the murder. That's what made me a suspect in their eyes. And because they had interviewed me prior to that statement, they felt the need to talk to me again. Instead of coming to my home to speak to me, they tricked and deceived me into their possession, placed me incommunicado, and that's how they captured me.
So you're 17 years old, you go to a party, you hear after the party that some girl's been murdered. Her name was Sharice Watson, as I understand it, 14 years old. And you're wondering what the heck happened to her like everybody else, but somebody lies, places you basically as a person who was with her, and the cops bring you into custody. When the cops got you into custody, did they Mirandize you? Did they give you a lawyer? Did you ask for a lawyer? Were your parents there to help? I mean, you're a child at 17 years old, really.
Right. Well, they basically began questioning me about the crime. And they kept trying to say that I was involved in this crime. They know I did it. And they were trying to get me to admit that I committed the crime and then ultimately sign a statement incriminating myself. But I had maintained that all along that I did not commit the crime. I had nothing to do with the crime. And, this went on for a number of hours before they took me to the headquarters, the main headquarters, and the main headquarters in Hog Park, New York. That's where they had begin their intense interrogation until they forced me into signing a confession.
Right. So basically they're saying like, sign this and we'll let you go. It was that kind of feeling like all you need to do is fill out this paper and we'll let you go. Did they give you that impression?
No, what they did is they basically kept telling me that they knew that I was young and that they could help me. These things happen. Right. Just sign the statement and they can talk to the judge. They can work with me. Then you had some detectives coming in, and they were using different type of tactics. And before you know it, it was like they were just doing everything they possibly can to try to get me to sign the confession. Their objective was to get my signature on that statement at any cost.
Yeah. Yeah. They basically don't care who they're convicting as long as they have somebody to pin it on, right? Do you feel like that's kind of the attitude of cops
Well,
in many cases?
that's what manifests itself as you look deeper into the case, because there is clear evidence 5 months after I was arrested, after they did that to me, that they were secretly engaged in investigating someone that they had arrested for an unrelated offense. But obviously, this person's fingerprint may have matched evidence they found at the crime scene. And they begin to interrogate this person who placed himself at that crime scene at the time the crime occurred.
Mm.
And he gave a story as to, tripping over the deceased, getting up and running home to his sister's house, which was in a completely different direction. But the detectives had exculpatory and very essential evidence that was favorable to the defense. And instead of turning it over, they hid it.
Mm.
The district attorneys hid it, and it was hidden for over, 40 years. So that there clearly indicates to me that their intentions was malicious and diabolical in nature.
Yeah. Horrible. So you're 17 years old now, maybe 18 by the time you're convicted of this crime. I don't know.
Yes.
You're still a young man. Year one goes by, year five goes by, year 10 goes by. I mean, are you thinking you're going to get out of this nightmare eventually? What's going through your head as you're kept basically, like you say in the book, locked up in a cage?
Well, you got to understand that, I've never really been in contact with the criminal justice system. I never had no perception about prison, inside prisons, except what you see on TV.
Right, right.
So the reality of the situation, it exacerbated, and it overwhelmed me in one sense. And it sent me through different stages of deep stages of emotions like hurt, pain, shame, all these different stages that had a deep, profound effect upon me. And I had to kind of navigate through that and kind of make sense of how I was developing as a person, inside of a cage where I knew that I didn't belong. So I had to make certain decisions about who I am and what I needed to do to empower myself and to give myself the tools I needed to try to find my way back home. Because at some point it became clear to me that the criminal justice system had no intentions of releasing me.
Yeah, yeah. The the years go by. Where do you find the resources? I mean, how did you get the legal help you needed to get out? I mean, I don't, did your parents have money to help you? Did you have to do it on your own? Is there a
Well,
group, a charitable group that might have helped?
initially, I come from a very strong family backbone, and obviously my family did all they could to get me a private attorney to represent me at trial, to also get me an attorney to represent me on direct appeal.
Mhm.
But at some point, you can't keep asking your
Yeah,
family to give you everything they got to try to get you out of a system who keeps looking the other way.
yeah,
So for me, I had to learn how to use the law. I had to learn how to study the law to the extent that I can begin to litigate pro se.
mm,
And in so doing, I was able to get in and out of the court systems, laying out foundations of arguments that would later become fruitful in my exoneration that was
mm,
ignored at that time. And, being unconscious of that, it was just my effort of doing everything I could to try to, try to get my way, find my way back home. I had grown into the type of individual who refused to accept what most people felt about their incarceration. I had 20 years, I'm gonna do 20 years, and when 20 years, no, I wanted out before then. So I started looking for my alternatives and looking for different ways in which to pursue it. Legally, I was denied my direct appeal, my federal habeas, and everything. So after I exhausted my legal remedies, I had to go back and do a collateral attack, and I began to do some work there to correct some issues that can be raised into constitutional dimension. Then I had got involved with searching and seeking out assistance. I had contacted Centurion Ministry in New Jersey, and fortunately they was able to take my case, but there was so many roadblocks at that time. It was difficult for me to actually get the information that I needed to fight, because all of my FOIA requests was being denied by the police department and the district attorney's office. And it was obviously for intentional reasons, because they were hiding, important information that could have exonerated me. But after they were unable to be successful at it, I continued to pursue it. I realized that the DNA was becoming a strong issue around the country. People were overturning their cases on that, and even though this crime involved an attempted sexual abuse, there's no sexual evidence of the victim being sexually assaulted, but DNA displayed evidence of, possibly because she struggled with her killer, that there could be DNA under her fingernails, or maybe on her clothes, or any of the evidence found at the scene of the crime, like the black afro pick that was hidden and concealed from me for 40 something years. So I pursued that objective, and we were able to discover DNA under her fingernail scrapings. And as a result of that, they were able to test that. And I had consistently reached out looking for different type of assistance, and I was able to get some assistance from Pace University. It was an innocent project by Adele Bernhardt. She was running that project, and then she went to the New York Law School and began to continue that practice. But she was the one who was very instrumental in putting all the pieces together and leading me through the legal process and leading me to exoneration.
Amazing. Amazing. 44 years after going into prison, you're released. How old are you? What's it like stepping out as a free man finally?
Well, 44 years, I was 49. Actually, I was 49 when I came home. I was going on 50, maybe a couple months before my 50th birthday. For me, coming home was a release. When I first came home, I wasn't exonerated in prison. I got exonerated while I was home. I got paroled. And it was ironic because I was denied parole 6 times because I did not meet the criteria for release, which was to admit to guilt and to take a sex offenders program that requires an admission of guilt, which was part of the attempted sexual abuse conviction. But because I consistently refused to do both, they constantly denied me parole, in spite of the fact that all the evidence, when you look at me as a person, 20 years from the individual who came in at 17, I was clearly not the same person. I had developed, I had got involved in creating programs, educating prisoners. I had got involved in working with the community and, meeting with legislators and doing a lot of constructive things that really enabled me to expose myself to better ways of using some of my, my capacities to not only fight for my freedom, but to help change a system that was inherently evil in my perception and in my eyes as it related to the Black community.
Yeah.
Because I'm a product of that.
Yeah.
So I engaged myself in that for those type of changes. And as a result of that, I clearly wasn't the same person, but that did not matter.
Right.
The only thing that mattered is that I did not submit to their will the same way that the detectives did to me in the precinct. So they were making it their duty to make sure I never get out of prison. And even though they let me out after the seventh time, on my seventh time, I still maintain my innocence, and I refused to take a sex offenders program. And I probably at that time was the only one that really left out of prison under my own terms, when most people felt that I was burying myself in the system for taking that stance.
Yeah.
But because of that stance, I was able to exonerate myself.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness you were. A long, long, long nightmarish ordeal. You're doing great work by putting forth your story, because there are a lot of people in this country, a huge percentage of them, African American men like yourself, Black men like yourself, who are unlawfully or unjustly convicted and imprisoned. And, something needs to be done. Something radical needs to be done, without a doubt. The name of the book we've been talking about today is Unshackling the Truth, Triumphant Over Injustice, the powerful true story of Keith Tyrone Bush, who shares his extraordinary journey from being a wrongfully convicted teenager to securing exoneration after 44 years of unjust suffering. Keith, thank you so much for joining me here today.
You're welcome. And I enjoyed speaking with you. And, hopefully when people read the book, they just don't look at the injustice within the book, but look at the resilience and look at the determination, to stand up and to represent what's right and just.
Yeah.
And I think that when people see that, then it relates to today as well as it related to 1975.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a triumphant example of a resilient human spirit who refused to go along with the system, who continued fighting, and eventually exposed a corrupt system. So we appreciate that. For the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.